What's going on, guys? Big Mike, D717 Outlaw, back with you here, working in the garage again, and we're kind of trying to fix issues from the last time we were at the racetrack. I'm hoping we can go racing tomorrow, but I'm still not 100%, just because I want to just give the bike a good once-over, because after watching some of the footage, I had noticed that the boost gauge wasn't either it wasn't reading properly, or the bike's down on boost. So I'm going to try to give all the clamps and boots a once-over and make sure that everything's good. But also I was down here messing around with that compressor issue. So when we were at the racetrack, you can remember in the one clip that the compressor was making a clicking noise. Well, I'll go to find out that when I was at the track, I pulled everything apart. I thought the gears were binding, which was making it kind of chatter a little bit. Well, long story short, I did a little bit of testing here today, and it turns out that I never realized that I put butt connectors for the two little wires that I ran to the compressor. Well, apparently this fitting on this side was coming apart. So the power was actually, it wasn't grounding off anything, but it was like hit or miss on connection. So it was whenever the compressor would try to kick on, I'm assuming the vibrations from the bike were making the connection kind of stutter. And yeah, long story short, everything's good. So we're gonna rewire it, put everything back together, and I'm pretty sure we'll be good to go then. It wasn't exactly what I expected. Again, I thought that the compressor had gone out. So we tore everything apart. If I would have known it was a wiring thing, that would have been like a quick 5-minute fix up at the racetrack. But again, the wiring was the last thing I expected, because one of the shrink fittings or one of the butt connectors and the shrink fittings actually what did it too, because it didn't hold it and kind of keep it in place. But the butt connector kind of gave out anyway. But we're gonna go ahead and rewire this, put it back together. And then I got one other thing I want to talk to you guys about real quick before we get further into anything else on this video. All right, guys, real quick before we get too far into the video, I do want to kind of give a shout out here to the Red Hill Racing podcast. So anybody that is new to motorcycle racing, the Red Hill Racing podcast is Mr. 43-time Dustin Lee, which I've ordered parts from for both bikes. Dustin Lee runs Hard Time Parts and Service. Then you have Mr. Ben Knight, who is another very good motorcycle racer that partners with Dustin, and they bring the podcast. So a big thing with them with the podcast is that they bring on the companies and businesses that support and make parts that I run. Brock's has been on their podcast, Schnitz Racing. You've had MPS, DME. A lot of those companies back their program. They back their everything. Also, they have University of Win, which is Ben Knight and Dustin Lee's racing school, which basically teaches you the ins and outs of bracket racing, which I want to sign up for. I haven't gotten to yet. And if Dustin and you guys see this video, I will be subbing or signing up for the class at some point here. Just hasn't been in my cards here lately. But anyway, going with the Red Hill Racing podcast is, I was listening to the podcast last week. If you sub up to one of their, their crew level, which is $100, you get $70 worth of merch, which is like stickers. I got a t-shirt. You get the bottle buddy, which I think Ben Knight came up with, which is pretty cool. It's a bottle opener, but it's also a wrench for your nitrous fittings. So anyway, long story short, one of their giveaways, which I subbed up for their group, was a $50 MPS gift card. Since I thought my compressor was out, I went over to MPS, ordered a compressor, got the store credit or the gift card from them, which helped cut the cost almost in half. So yeah, shout out to them. And yeah, let's get back into it. If you can, go check out Red Hill Racing podcast. I listen to them every other week. New episodes, I believe, are every other Wednesday, which there should be a video this coming week. Well, guys, after going through and redoing the wiring, ran 2 fresh hookups and everything. Compressor works fine. So figures, I kind of took myself out with a glitchy wire, but hey, at least it was an easy fix. We can go ahead and get all of this rerun. I got to go ahead and put my fitting back in there so I have my ride back device and everything, because I believe what we took out was actually the T. I forget how the airlines are routed on here, but figures. One simple little thing. But hey, it's fixed. That works for me. Okay guys, scratch that. That was a little short-lived. So I was letting it run for a second, and I'm not sure if it's even gonna show up. You can see a couple of these teeth have more wear than others. Maybe there you can kind of see it. It flat spotted on a couple of these gears. So I think this gear might have been going out, because it got to about 110 PSI and it all but stopped building pressure. But also, I'm wondering if the shaft isn't off, because it almost looks like the gear is out of whack. Like, that should be straight up and down, and you can see it's kind of angled over this way a little bit. So, never mind. I think I need a new one.
Michael 2012 Busa turbocharged. Ryan Watson, the far side, 2012 Kawasaki ZX10. ATV, kids can make your way into the short chute. Junior ATV, make your way into the short chute. By 12. Going out to the far side. Just under 2 seconds going out the neck on that old school Honda.
Well guys, as much as I would have loved to have been bringing a winter circle video or something, we are out for the shootout and Pro ET. So Pro ET, I got Dakota. I went red against Dakota. For some reason, me and him seem like we're both, I always seem to go red against him for some reason. But we would have ended up probably running it out a little bit different. So I dialed at 860, went at 845, and then we went into the shootout. So I figured, okay, well, I'll dial 44 because it's getting cooler. The bike might run a little bit better. Well, she ended up running a 47, but I was sleeping on the light, and the guy, we couldn't catch him. There was just no way. So it is what it is. We're gonna keep on running, and we'll just be back tomorrow. We got points race tomorrow, but works for me. I'm gonna freaking get out of these leathers and relax for a little bit. Watch some bike races, because we still have plenty of Pro ET and a pretty good bit of the shootout yet. So just sit back and relax.
Martin on the far side of the 04 Suzuki 600. Next up, Mike Herman near lane 542 dial. Sam Kuzman on the far side, 548 dial.
All right, guys. Well, probably about a week later, after the bike sled shootout and our last points race of Series 1 for WDRA. So Series WDRA Beaver split it up into two. So there's 2 series, 6 races apiece, and we just had our 6th race. So we are currently sitting in 11th in points, pretty much the middle of the pack, and didn't have a bad weekend. I took myself out, so it's nothing on the bike, no parts failures this time. Everything stayed together, not on wood, and it was just me. I took myself out, unfortunately. I went red in Pro ET. I slept on the tree in the shootout, and then I went red the next morning after being number 2 qualifier. So the bike ran good though. Ran 8:45 personal best in the quarter mile on Saturday at, I believe, almost 162. And then going into the points race on Sunday, the bike ran a personal best in the 8th, 5:40 at 132. It was still a good weekend. The only thing is, I know that those PBs are great. I'm very happy that I got them. I think part of it too is I'm still, for some reason, I've noticed in my videos, and I know people have commented on it, is I feel like I'm so used to when I was hand clutching, I would go full throttle, slip the clutch, but then if it wasn't slipping right, I would kind of like blip the throttle to try to get the clutch to just mesh and go. Even with the slider, when it's a wide open and go, I still come out of the line and I cheat and then I roll back into it again. I think I'm getting the hang of sticking and holding that out a lot better, but the big thing too with it is, yeah, what I want to say. The bike got faster, but it was like slightly concerning because my boost gauge isn't reading my usual 11 pounds of boost that the bike runs. It's only like maybe 9 to 10 pounds. I don't know if that's too big of a concern, but the thing is the bike's getting faster. And the other part with boost is I have a boost compensated fuel pressure regulator. So however many pounds of boost, more pounds of fuel pressure. So I don't know if the bike cutting a little bit of boost is causing a leaning issue, which is making the bike faster, but is also putting more stress on the motor. So we're gonna pull the bike in. We have a little bit of time here before the next race. And we're going to go over the bike top to bottom. Pull the plugs. If I really have to or feel like it, I might do a compression check just to make sure that everything is working or in its operating order. We're gonna go over all the boots, make sure that everything looks good, make sure that there's no wires that are caught up somewhere that they shouldn't be. Just give the bike a good once over. Once we do that, if there is something that is concerning, we're gonna flip some stuff over to the pink bike and run that for the duration of the season until the turbo bike is figured out. And if something is out of whack, then we're gonna end up getting a jump on the engine build, which will probably take some time, but we're gonna take the turbo motor, beef it up, and hopefully do our back half chassis, which will turn that bike into a wheelie bar. So it's pretty much gonna be where I stop it here today, guys. It wasn't a bad weekend of racing. I kind of killed myself and took myself out a couple times, well, all the time. And we're just gonna bounce back. We're gonna make sure all the bikes are good, and we're just gonna roll into it for the next race. So that's about all I can really say. But as always, guys, again, I hope you liked the video. What is it? Yeah. I hope you liked the video. Give it a thumbs up. If you want to know anything more about the bikes, more about the channel, drop those comments down below. And check out the companies that are in my description. They're the ones that I've used for buying parts and ordering everything here and there. A handful of fabricators and stuff are also in there. But check them out. Hit that subscribe button along with the little bell for notifications, and I will see you guys on the next upload. Remember, guys, ride safe, ride smart, always wear your helmet. See ya.